Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Nelson Chamisa would like to give them the impression that he left the dancing floor, the political stage, 2 years ago out of courtesy to other potential leaders. That is not true. That is just a lie. Another lie from him. He left the dancing floor and went on his French leave 2 years ago to run away from being held to account for the many things that had taken place run up to that point. Let's just listen to him boasting about leaving the dancing floor to give others a chance.
I come to you at such a critical moment in the history of our country, possibly after 2 years, having left the dance floor, hoping that somebody else would occupy that dance floor. But I see there's none who has chosen to occupy the dance floor, and the dance floor is vacant. And I've seen it fit that I'm back on the floor to dance for my nation, to dance for the citizens, and to dance for the future. Our nation faces a pivotal moment and a critical juncture in the history of our country. The promise of independence has not yet translated into that rapid, accelerated transformation that we hoped to see. We have not seen transformation.
That has got to be corrected. He did not leave the dancing floor, the political stage, out of courtesy or respect of others. He left it because there was absolutely chaos at the end of the 2023 elections. He is the one who had promised the nation that he was going to form the next government, and he had his cabinet ready. He even invoked the name of God. Only all that to be proven untrue, because NOPF blatantly rigged those elections. We need to get our facts right. Here he is boasting about forming the next government.
Makorokoto Zimbabwe nokuti hakuna munhu anomira kana denga raronga plan. Denga raronga plan, denga harifoiri. Plan yaMwari haifoiri. Ini ndatanga kugadzira cabinet. There is no way we are not going to form a new cabinet. There is no way we are not going to have a celebration. There is no way we are not going to have an inauguration. Let's start preparing for our inauguration. Let's start preparing for our celebration.
Of course, he was lying. We know he was lying because Triple C did not win the majority in parliament. Mnangagwa was declared the winner. He had said he was going to win. It was God's plan. We cannot then change round and say God must have changed his plans. Instead of stopping ZANU-PF rigging those elections, he let them rig those elections. That is just nonsense. And soon after those elections, yes, Triple C did win some seats. But as we know, no sooner had some of those Triple C leaders taken their oath of office and taken up their gravy train seats, that along came Savangu and started recalling those few elected Triple C officials. Chamisa couldn't stop him because Triple C did not have a constitution, did not have a party structure, did not have elected officials. It had gone into those elections with none of those things. As a political party, ZANU-PF found itself in a situation where they are saying, okay, so who is the Secretary General? When this guy came forward and said, I am the Secretary General, whether people want to deny it or not, the truth of the matter is you could not deny who is, because nobody knew who is the Secretary General. Initially, when Savangu started the recalls, Chamisa said he didn't even know him. And then pictures of him and Savangu started to circulate. He didn't want to comment on that. And then a few weeks later, he announced that he was leaving politics because Triple C was infiltrated. That's how he left the political stage last time. So all this talk about, I left hoping that somebody else will take over, it's just nonsense. That wasn't the reason why he left. But what is more interesting here is that the people of Zimbabwe had many questions they wanted to ask him, Chamisa, at the time, before he ran away. Many of those questions have remained unanswered. Some of the information has been trickling through since he left. Things like, why did Triple C fail to deploy election agencies in the 2023 elections? Many of the polling stations had no election agents. And it turns out Chamisa had the money to pay those election agents, but pocketed the money, according to that comment from one of Chamisa's own leaders, Triple C leaders, Chilton Wende. Mr. Wende tells us that some of that money was used to buy farms and buy cars. Of course, the nation wants to know what answers Chamisa has to those allegations. But the most important and critical issue that must be answered by the likes of Chamisa is, why did the Triple C fail to implement even one token democratic reform during the GNU? He and his colleagues have never answered that. Initially, the people believed that Mugabe bribed them with the trappings of high office, and they forgot about the reforms. But since then, stories have started to emerge that it was more than just the bribes. Chamisa and company were given farms, at least the top brass in the MDC, including the likes of Changirai himself, Tendai Biti, Welshman Nguwe. They all received bribes, which would explain why they didn't bother with implementing the reforms. And most significantly, why they've continued to participate in flawed elections. This is a video that came out just 2 weeks ago, before Chamisa's so-called relaunch of his new fresh start agenda 2026.
Bhazi rikafira musango, munhu asina kwaari kuenda bhazi mumu anofara kuti ndo patopumba pake nditori nevamwe vangu pana. Munhu anorwadziwa nekurara musango, munhu ane kumba.
Taibadana kumba kwangu.
Amana kumba gumbezi rangu reriya. Mwana so. But munhu asina imba hatete kurara musango. So opposition make sure kuti vanhu vaya vawane minda. But may he so rest in peace vatsvangirai. Prazi ravo vanga vainaro. Chamisa anaro.
Anaro Chamisa. Ane family.
Kana azoramba. Ndoenda newe.
Riri kupi?
Ane farm.
Ribi.
I know madress munhu anetsa kuti focha, but anaro. Chakudza off camera.
Okay.
Ane mine. Ane mine. Ane makaseo.
Yeah?
Yes. Biti. Ane prazi. Hauna kumboona here picture yabiti achitenga mombe kuna Temba Mliswa. Dzekuisa kuprazi. One of the biggest beef producers in the Matabeleland region, the Welshman Nguwe.
Okay.
Yes, ane prazi. Anautenga beneficiary land reform. But what they did is to discourage their people from acquiring my farms, because vaiza kuti munhu akaona something chapiwa nehurumende haachapikisa.
Are you for real, Mr. Ganshai?
Nomubvunza Welshman Nguwe kuti haasi kuita beef here, producer beef here paprasi. Tonyandanetsa naupo waching'ono gore rere. Handiti kuti stand yaupo waching'ono standard ine painogumira. But vakatotaura nehurumende nemasabhuku ikaextendwa because aita god.
The truth of the matter is, Chamisa, yes, he has come back on the political stage. But only to find himself having to face the same searching questions that he resigned from Triple C as leader of Triple C in a half to avoid. And not only those old questions. Why did you fail to implement the democratic reforms? Why did you lie about plugging the vote rigging loopholes? But there are a lot more other questions coming now, which he will find more and more difficult to answer. I believe Nelson Chamisa is learning the hard way that man is a creature of reason. As much as he has been able to con and lie to so many millions, nearly 2 million people participated in the 2023 elections because they believed Chamisa's lie that he had plugged the vote-raking loopholes. I think you will find now that he has come back that a lot more people will not so willingly accept his lies. The iconic Bob Marley once said, "You can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the times." Chamisa is learning that the hard way. His launch has been scrutinized, and many have since dismissed it as just another empty rhetoric, because that's what it is. There is no substance in that whole speech. He talks of we are going to have a movement, not a political party. When they launched MDC in 1999, they launched it as a movement, the movement for democratic change. So if being a movement was so important, why did the movement, the MDC, fail to deliver the democratic changes that the nation was dying for? This is just empty words. I think the single most important thing that the 2 years of Chamisa's absence on the political stage have achieved is allowed Zimbabweans to think. And like I said, man is a creature of reason. They've been able to ask for themselves what is going on here. And many have realized the sheer futility of participating in flawed elections. I've often used this quotation from David Coulthard because it is true and it is valid. Coulthard admitted that participating in 2013 elections was foolish because the election process was so flawed, so illegal, the only logical step was to withdraw. He and his colleagues did not withdraw out of greed. This is the reality that is coming home to roost for Chamisa and company. He is back, and people still want to know, why have you been calling people to participate in flawed elections? Just to perpetuate the people's suffering. He got away without answering it in the past. But if he thinks he's going to get away with it this time, I think he's in for a surprise. Because that, I believe, is not going to happen. The questions are going to rain on him until he answers them. I repeat, you can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Chamisa is learning that the hard way. Think about it. Have a good day.